Lots of things all around us, exciting things that surround us.
But how does it work?
Do you know?
How is it made?
Do you know? Things that go up, things that go down, things that go pop, things that go round. With special cameras to show you inside. It's going to be a big surprise.
But how does it work?
Do you know?
How is it made?
Do you know? Do you know?
Let's find out!
Hello, I'm Maddie, and today I'm visiting a singing group. Can you hear that?
Polly, put the kettle on.
Hello, everyone. Singing is so much fun, and we can make lots of different sounds when we sing.
Polly, put the kettle on, we'll all have tea.
That was brilliant. But how do we make so many different sounds, and how do they all come together? How do we sing? How does it work? Let's find out. How does it work?
Singing.
To find out how we sing, we need to know where the sound comes from, and it comes from deep down here. Singing starts with a big, big breath. See how my chest rises when I do that? That's because a big muscle across my body called the diaphragm lowers, and that sucks air into two bags in my chest called the lungs. And when our lungs are full of air, we can sing. La! But how does the air from our lungs make a sound? To find out, I think we should take a closer look. Before we sing, we take a deep breath of air through our mouth. The diaphragm lowers and our rib cage gets bigger, pulling air into our lungs. As we breathe out, air is pushed out of the lungs and it moves back up the trachea. Inside the larynx are two bands of tissue called vocal cords. Muscles open the vocal cords when we breathe and pull them together when we swallow or make a sound. When air is pushed up the trachea from the lungs, it makes the vocal cords vibrate really fast, making a buzzing sound. To make a high sound, the muscles stretch and the vocal cords vibrate faster. To make a lower sound, the muscles relax and the vocal cords vibrate less. The buzz from the vocal cords move up to the space inside our nose and mouth. And by moving our tongue and lips, we turn the buzzing into sounds we make when we speak and sing. La, la, la. How clever is that? If you make your lips go all floppy and blow air through them, they make a vibrating sound, like this. That's what your vocal cords do inside your larynx. Go on, can you make a vibrating sound? Give it a go. But how do our vocal cords make different sounds? Because our larynx is quite far down our throats, we can't see it working. So I'm going to use this balloon to show you. The narrow end will be the larynx, and if I blow the balloon up, and this will be our lungs. If I hold it between my fingers, stretch it and let air through, the rubber balloon will vibrate, a bit like our vocal cords inside the larynx, and it will make a sound like this. If I stretch it further apart, then the sound will get higher. If I shorten it, the sound will get lower. But it's not just the stretching of the vocal cords that changes the sound. It's also the way we use our mouths. Listen to what happens when we sing with our mouths closed. 3, 2, 1. How did that sound? It sounds like that because when the air comes up through our lungs and vibrates our vocal cords, the sound has nowhere to go because our mouths are closed. So how about we try it again, but this time we're going to sing with our mouths open. 3, 2, 1.
Polly, put the kettle on.
Can you hear the singing is different this time? When our mouths are open, the sound can easily come out and is much louder and clearer.
So we know that the way we use our mouths makes a big difference to the sounds that we make. So that we can see the sounds that our group's vocal cords are making, we've got a special program on a computer. It's called an audio spectrometer.
Guy is an expert in sound, and his computer turns the sounds in the room into green wiggly lines.
We can tell how high, la, or how low, la, a note is, and this is called the pitch.
When the pitch is high, la, the green line is taller on the right-hand side. And when it's low, la, the green line is taller on the left. So what does the green line on the audio spectrometer do when we all sing together?
3, 2, 1.
Polly put the kettle on, Polly put the kettle.
Look at the green line. It's wiggly and tall all the way from left to right. That's because the song has both high and low pitch.
Very good. Give yourselves a clap. We all really loved finding out how singing works. What was your favourite bit?
Polly put the
Do you remember what vibrates when we sing? That's right, they're called vocal cords. Did you hear the sound the balloon made when I let the air out? What a funny noise. And did you see how the high and low pitch sounds looked on the audio spectrometer?
There are lots of different sounds you can make with your mouth and your lungs when you blow into a musical instrument, like a recorder. Or how about a harmonica? Or even a kazoo. What's your favourite musical instrument? Do you know what this brass shiny one is called? That's right, it's a trombone. But do you know how a trombone is made? Let's find out.
How is it made?
trombone.
To find out how a trombone is made, I've come to a trombone factory. Here they make trombones out of a material that's smooth and really shiny. So shiny that I can see my reflection in it. Oh, look at that. It's making my face look all stretchy. The material is called brass, and it's made out of two metals, copper and zinc.
All the parts are made out of brass, like the mouthpiece, the slide, and the spout, and the flare, which make up the bell, where the sound comes out.
Should we see what it sounds like? Okay. Here we go. I'm still learning. Trombones start out as a flat piece of brass, but how do we get from that to this?
First, Lewis cuts a shape from the brass sheet and then bends it.
This is going to be the spout.
But it's only half a spout right now, so Lewis needs to attach the other half.
Lewis is doing something called brazing, and for that he needs a brazing rod and a blowtorch. Lewis uses the blowtorch to heat the brass till the brass is hot enough to melt the brazing rod.
And when the brazing rod has melted, it acts like a glue and sticks the two pieces of brass together.
But why doesn't the brass melt too? Well, to find out, I'm going to use one of my special gadgets. And this is an infrared thermometer.
It uses something called an infrared light, so when I point it at the metal, it tells me how hot it is.
The brazing rod is melting at 350 degrees.
But the brass stays solid.
Wow!
So the runny brazing rod can stick the two pieces of brass together.
Wow! This is what the spout looks like after it's cooled down and has had a good clean. But you can see it's still quite bumpy and it's not the right shape yet. So Dave has to heat it back up, which makes it soft enough to smooth out on this machine. The lathe. It's going to spin the spout and this will help it take its final shape. And here's our spouts, but there's something missing. Do you know what it is? That's right, it's the flare that goes on the end, and that's going to be made of this. But this doesn't look like a flare, does it? The flat disc of metal is being turned into the flare. It's brilliant. We've got a spout and a flare. They just need to be connected together with a little bit more bashing, brazing, and spinning on the lathe. Now the spout and the flare have come together, this is called a bell, but it's not a trombone yet, because it's time to make all of the tubing. And this is what it looks like before it gets turned into trombone parts. But they're the wrong size and shape. So the tubes have to be bent into the right shape by hand before the trombone parts are ready for the dusty job of polishing. That means putting on some protective clothes. I feel like an astronaut. It's really shiny now, isn't it? And all that's left to do is for Tom to put the shiny brass parts together. First, he puts the two parts of the slider together. Next, he connects a piece of tubing onto the bell. Then goes on a tube that was bent by hand before the slide slides on. And lastly, the mouthpiece is attached. And here we have a finished trombone. Isn't it bright and shiny? But what does it sound like? Well, Tim here is going to show me how it's really done. Can you see Tim moving the slide forwards and back? Listen what happens to the noise the trombone makes as he does it. It makes different noises depending on how long the tube is. I loved finding out how a trombone is made, did you? What was your favourite bit? Do you remember what metal a trombone is made with? That's right, it's called brass. Did you hear the sound the trombone made when I blew it? It was funny, wasn't it? And did you see how the buffing machine made the trombone look nice and shiny? So the next time you hear a trombone, or you might even have a go at playing one yourself, you'll know how it was made. And when you sing a song, you'll know how your vocal cords work. We'll see you next time.